soya, chicken, and potatoes. Got the potatoes going over here. So I'm just gonna get right into it and start by step one. So there's a little bit of a prep for this meal. What you want to do is you want to get these dried soya chunks, and you'll take about a cup full of these chunks, put them into a Ziploc bag, and soak them for approximately 30 minutes. Then once it's soaked, you want to squeeze out all the liquid, because it'll absorb it like a sponge. You want to squeeze out all that liquid a few times. So normally I do it like 3 to 4 times. Then the last time you want to fill it up with about a cup and a half of water, the Ziploc bag with a cup and a half of water. And then you want to toss in some type of soup base. So I just use this vegetarian chicken soup base, or you can use just vegetable broth. And you're gonna put it in to the bag. So this is what the soya looks like. You want to put it into the bag and then let it squeeze out and absorb in, and do that a few times. And then what you can do is you could put it in the fridge and just let it sit. Now this is a good prep because you can do this even the day before. You can do it the night before, and just get it ready for when you want to cook it. Right? So I actually did this yesterday, so it's a bit cold, and but it's ready to use right now. What you want to do is you want to cut them into those chunks and then boil them. I normally boil them for about like 15 minutes, and then after you boil them, strain it completely, so there's no water, and then place it back on high heat with 2 cups of new clean water, and then we'll get right to adding the soya in here, and then we'll get to making the sauce. So I've added the soya in here with all the marinade that was with it, and it's gonna just sit here. It's most likely gonna take a little bit more time to boil now because that soya was cold and it was in the fridge, but now all the marinade flavors of that soup broth are gonna mix in with the potatoes. So if once it starts to get all mixed up, then we can focus on the sauce, and then we're gonna let it simmer with the sauce afterwards as well. So the sauce is it's a very simple process. I like to make these meals simple. What I do for the sauce is I have this blender that I use just for individual smoothies, or for my sauces specifically. For this one, I primarily use it for my sauces or when I'm traveling. So you want to start off with your tomatoes. So this is approximately, I'm gonna say half a medium tomato. You want to get the tomatoes in there, right? The next component is your onions. I just chopped them into smaller pieces. You don't have to if you have a bigger blender. So this is approximately half a medium onion. And then I want to get a few, I'm going to say these are about 2-inch pieces of carrot in there. I might have to chop these up just a bit more, just because the blades of the blender probably won't reach if it's too high. And then I also want to toss in a few pods of garlic, and then the next step is adding the powders. So I've got curry powder, I've got turmeric, and I've got the coconut milk powder. So for the curry powder, I'm gonna do about half a teaspoon right in here. And then for the turmeric, I'm gonna do about a quarter, and then for the coconut milk, I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons. Correction, that was half a teaspoon of turmeric and 3 teaspoons of the coconut milk. And then on top here, what we also want to do is we want to add some red dried chilies. So I'm going to add, if you add about 3, that should be about a decent amount of spice. But, considering there's potatoes in here, I'm going to spice it up a little bit more for myself. 2 more ingredients that I'd really suggest you adding. So if you have corn, black peppercorn, I would suggest adding about 2 to 4, depending on how spicy you like it. The black pepper activates the turmeric, and it helps it to be more potent and more effective. And then cinnamon, I normally just use the stick in this step because why not just get it from the actual whole food rather than ground. And then I'm going to add about half a cup of water here, and then add it to the potatoes and the soya chunks that are cooking. So I added the water, I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm going to blend this, and then I'll add it to the dish. Before I close this up, I'm going to also add 2 more medjool dates without the seeds. And then I'll close it up and blend it and add it to the dish. Okay, it's ready to blend. I'm going to cover up the mic a little bit so you don't have to hear it as loud. Okay, that is done and ready to add to the dish. So pour this goodness in, and we can add a little bit of water in here to rinse this out and pour it in there as well. Now that we got it in here, we can mix it up and reduce the heat a little bit. While I was getting the sauce ready, the soya was cooking for about 10 minutes throughout my editing process. So you can give yourself a little bit of time if you need, as you get everything mixed together, and then you can let it sit. And the longer you let this sit, you'll let the soy absorb, you'll let the potatoes cook through a little bit more, and it's going to be a nice sauce because it's mixing with that marinade from before with the soya chunks. So you can see how everything's coming together. You can smell the cinnamon, you can smell the curry powder. It smells great. So let this cook for another 5 minutes or so. Now normally I would add some cilantro or coriander to this, cilantro leaves, but I seem to be out. I only have the leftover of the cilantro left in my fridge, so normally I would toss that in there. So I would say like half a handful, pop it in there. It would really make the flavors pop, but this by itself is going to be very good as well. So you can reduce this heat down to low, or you can even, if you'd like, you can even turn it off, remove it from heat, and just cover and keep for a little bit and let everything absorb. Or if you're anxious to give it a try, you can always bite right in. Everything should be cooked thoroughly now, so it's ready to eat, and that's what the soya will look like. You got chunks of the potato in there, and all your other veggies are smoothly blended in. There were no chunks of cinnamon or anything left over from that raw piece of cinnamon I put in either. So it looks like it's ready to go. You can let it sit to absorb some more flavor, and then we'll plate it, and then we'll see you soon. So I've got my rice that I just cooked a little bit prior, all ready to go. And so I've plated it here, and I'm just going to be adding my curry to it. So the last little bits, you know, I always forget that I only have one hand to do this because of the camera. I need to get a mount. Some more chicken, soya chicken in there. Don't let this burn. And that's the final dish right there. So you got rice and curry on a wet day outside. Enjoy and let me know how it turns out for you. Have a great day, everyone.